the GOAT. Is she what? I don't know.
Oh,
I just, with my eyes, I couldn't see if she's Caucasian or not. So I think what we're trying to say is what the WNBA currently has is what we like to describe as a cash cow. There is a superstar. And we're not saying that the players on the court need to act any differently. That's the athletes are going to do what athletes are going to do in any sport. And I think we're all learning that WNBA, that's old school football, baby. That is old school football. But I would like the media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white for the Indiana team who is a superstar.
Somehow, some way, the Pat McAfee show on ESPN made this whole Caitlin Clark getting fouled hard episode even worse.
And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple-year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white. And she's the only popular because the rest of the rookie class is doing what they're doing. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And we think the WNBA, more specifically, their refs need to stop trying to screw her over at every single turn.
Pretty nauseating, to be frank. When asked for comment on McAfee's segment, ESPN declined. As I was watching this, I simply could not believe that it aired on ESPN. And I know we've said that a lot about Pat McAfee's show, but many in the industry, sports media industry that I respect, felt identical to what I'm telling you right now. First, let's set the scene. This all stemmed from Caitlin Clark, once again being front and center, and being involved in another incident, this time with the Chicago Sky's Kennedy Carter. Moments after Clark elbowed Carter, the 25-year-old returned the favor by shoving her to the ground. The play was ruled a common foul during the game, but the league would upgrade it to a flagrant when they reviewed it after the game. Thus, McAfee decided to pivot and take aim at members of the media who claimed the W's popularity is a result of the entire draft class, which, by the way, includes superstars like LSU's Angel Reese, now with the Sky, Cameron Brink, formerly of Stanford, now in LA, and Camila Cardoso of the national champion Dawn Staley-led Gamecocks, also in Chicago, and not just Clark. He then introduced a segment called Guess Which WNBA Rookie when he listed various stats showing the impressive TV ratings Caitlin Clark has attracted since entering the league. After the game, Carter refused to address the foul, telling reporters, and I quote, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." The Fever's general manager, Lynn Dunn, would post on Twitter, suggesting there's a difference between tough defense and unnecessary targeting actions, exclamation point. Later on, Carter would see a video showing the news conference where she declined to answer questions about Caitlin Clark, writing, "And that's that on that. Because beside three-point shooting, what does she bring to the table, man?" The Sky's head coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, would say in a statement, "Physical play, intensity, and a competitive spirit are hallmarks of Chicago Sky basketball." Kennedy got caught up in the heat of the moment in an effort to win. She and I discussed what happened and that it was not appropriate. Nor is it what we do or who we are. Kennedy understands that there are better ways to handle situations on the court, and she will learn from this, as we all will. Caitlin Clark would also respond to all of this in the aftermath. "Yeah," she'd say, "I wasn't expecting that, but it's just like respond, calm down, and let your play do the talking. It's a physical game. Go make the free throw and then execute on offense." I feel like that's what we did. Clark did make her free throw after the foul. The Fever would go on to win by a point. On Sunday, Clark added, "I grew up playing basketball with the boys. It's physical and feisty, and you have to find a way to hold your own." Now, ESPN's Elle Duncan would go on Bomani Jones's show, and this is a must-watch, especially for Pat McAfee and crew.
We want you to understand, and we would like changes. So we will sit down and talk to you about it over and over and over again. And it sort of feels that way when we're talking about sports. Like, I don't adopt by, you don't get to say a thing. My biggest grievance is, Bo, is that if you are new and you don't have the capacity yet to talk about storylines within the W because you just don't know enough, that's okay. It's okay. It is okay. But what you shouldn't do is, because you just want to lend your voice to the conversation in general, keep rehashing the same tired, boring, dumbass, fabricated storyline that all of these women are bitter and can't stand Caitlin Clark. Like, that is why I went off last week, and why, I love Charles Barkley. He's a friend. I could text him right now. He's an amazing guy, a kind man, all of those things. And he's just wrong here. And LeBron is wrong here. And I'm frustrated because the only time that we hear the newbies or the outsiders refer to any storylines inside the W, it is essentially putting mostly Black and brown women in a place where the miscreants then get to slide into their DMs undeservingly and attack them. And I'm not with that.
Speaking with Jones on his show The Right Time, carried by Wave, Duncan was preaching. So for McAfee to do what he did, it was not only narrow-minded, but it was just flat out dumb. Dave Zirin wrote on Twitter, Pat McAfee called Caitlin Clark one white bee who was a superstar. No one checked him. Sports media today is simply unrecognizable from the days of Bob Lee and Ralph Wiley. There are those like Monica McNutt who stand in that tradition, but the overarching environment is putrid. He's right. And the ESPN execs will be thrilled we're tweeting about this sexist pile. So the choice becomes speaking out, which is just what they want, or not speaking out and choosing silence. You just can't win. Fellow ESPN broadcaster Kim Adams wrote, this is just completely unacceptable. Interested to see how ESPN handles this. And his, as in McAfee's, entire argument is not conducive to anything going on in the WNBA right now. Just let the women hoop. Pat McAfee wants everyone to give Caitlin Clark this unprecedented respect for what she's doing for women's basketball, and he can't even respect her enough to not call her a B on live TV, wrote another user. Well done. Allie Donaldson, a local reporter, typed, thinking about all the talented journalists ESPN has laid off in the past few years so they could pay McAfee $17 million to call Caitlin Clark, one of the biggest female stars, a B. It's not funny. It's not cute. What is wrong with the people at ESPN and Disney? Lastly, from Megan Hall of USA Today, not a single man in that room told Pat McAfee, who openly called Caitlin Clark a white bee on national television, that he was wrong, that he shouldn't speak about Caitlin or any woman like that. What is even happening? We're cool with that. All for him to prove a point. So let's get into my 2 cents. So McAfee started off his entire diatribe leading up to the white bee comment with Iowa was only put on the map because of Caitlin Clark. That is false. I need everyone to understand this, okay? If one were to just go season by season, they would notice the Iowa women's basketball program made the tournament in 10 of the 12 years prior to Caitlin Clark's stepping on campus in Iowa City. That includes an Elite Eight appearance. So McAfee saying this is patently false. It's dumb. It's short-sighted. It's misinformative. This man is paid millions of dollars, and I know this is exactly what they're paying him for. It is not to be knowledgeable. It is not to give really insightful perspectives. It's to be of the shock-jock value, and I get that. But it comes with a price, not only with his salary, but also that they are damaging their own brand. Zirin is right. The fact that we went from the Stuart Scotts and the Bob Lees and the Kenny Maynes to this? What are we doing here? It is a fair question. On top of this, the critiques of ESPN laying off respected on-air talent, people that really gave their all to get to ESPN, which was seen at one point as the gold standard of sports media to get to, the hallmark. Oh my God, you work for ESPN. Everybody knows ESPN. And maybe that is for a lot of people. Maybe it is. And if they want to call me, I'll entertain it. But let me be very clear about this. They are damaging themselves by continuing to broadcast this blasphemous, not even insight, just stupidity. Sports fans are not dumb, okay? I believe that some fanatics can go over whatever line they deem, and not only go over it, but a mile past it. But this is just local sports radio buffoonery. We really had some of the greats, some of the best investigated pieces. And what they decided to do was take that budget, cut it, and give it to Pat McAfee. And I like Pat McAfee. I think what he is doing has a lot of positives, but there are also many negatives. And when there are negatives, we should address them, especially within the industry. On Megan's tweet, this also goes hand in hand with this. Her tweet was, not one person in the room decided to check him. That's not how their show works. These people benefit and reap the benefits off of Pat. If they make it awkward, what you're doing is dividing the audience when they have to remain a cohesive, united front. And look, if I were there, I would have called it out. If there were other people there, they would have called it out. But this is just the environment that they have set up so they don't spot, shadow, and highlight each other's failures throughout these conversations that are not even tense, but just outlandish in nature. This is where they are at. And we've seen this because they all, it seems, through their own silence, approve of this stuff. Like when they had a comedic bit, which was not funny, about Nebraska's basketball player during the tournament when they lost to, I believe it was Texas A&M. They continue to broadcast Aaron Rodgers and his conspiracy theories over and over again. Pat McAfee even had something on the disgraced former doctor of USA women's gymnastics, Larry Nassar. This is quite literally ESPN reaping what they sow. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.